How's it going, everybody? David Cloninger with the Post and Courier and Gamecocks now, welcoming you to another edition of Countdown to Kickoff. Obviously, a very big win for South Carolina last week, 40-17 over the Florida Gators. And now the Gamecocks are going into a game at Missouri with suddenly the whole season right back out in front of them. I'd like to welcome my guest today, a USC receiver from 2004 to 2005. You better know him as Pops. Tim Frisby. Pops, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How's everything going out there, Dave?
Not too bad, my man. I appreciate you joining me here today. What's going on with you in your life these days?
I'm doing the same thing, working. I work for the Attorney General here at the State House there, and everything's going great. I run the Valor program down there, so we kind of go all over the state helping veterans, wills, power of attorneys, things like that. So supporting our veteran community.
That's terrific, my man. Let's get into it. I mean, coming into the game last week against Florida, we knew that the Gators were kind of a reeling team. We knew that the Gamecocks were coming off a bye week and thought there may be a chance for USC to pull this one out. Did you expect them to win in that fashion?
Oh, I was definitely hoping we would win, but I did, like everybody else, I didn't expect us to win in the fashion that we did. Both teams, kind of came in the game reeling. Both had opportunities to fold their tents and kind of call it a season. And South Carolina, stood up, raised their back and had a great game, something that we were kind of hoping and expecting all season.
That's the thing, Pop. Obviously, the question about USC this year has been the offense, and you don't expect much after having 8 games of the same thing. Yet, the Gamecocks come into this game, they're blocking better, their running game is working, and then playing their third quarterback of the season, everything just clicks. Have you ever seen something like that happen where maybe it's just one new guy or one new scheme, and all of a sudden everything's better?
Not to that extent, where they came out and put up the most points that they've scored against Florida. But at the same time, I think it came down to South Carolina really simplifying things. I think they simplified things on offense, block the guy in front of you and, and let's get this on. And I think that simplification really helped this team.
That's one thing. So I was looking at a lot of it, and I had John Strickland on last week. I don't think it's if you didn't see that one, but being a former offensive lineman, Strickland was saying it just seems like the schemes aren't working. They're doing a lot of things that just don't really open up that running game. They were doing a lot of zone blocking, where here they went into more gap scheme, more man on man, more put a hat on a hat. What did you see from a guy who played on the offensive side of the ball? What was the biggest change that they had?
Right, absolutely. I thought they kind of did the same thing that John was saying, that they actually were running more of a gap scheme, like I said, blocking the guy in front of them, which was allowing the running backs to kind of to see the hole. Whereas before they were kind of reacting to the defense already being in the backfield. So that was a problem all season long. And, on last Saturday, they were able to see things in front of them. And that helped that running game a heck of a lot. And we saw 2 100-yard rushers produced from that.
Yeah, 2 100-yard rushers. And we all knew coming into this season, South Carolina had that capability really for every game just because they had 4 guys who could really tote the ball for them. Yet this was the first time that they actually came out and did it. Of course, Zaquandre Wright's been running the ball really well all season, which creates the question, why wasn't he seen for about 4 games in the middle of the year? And then Kevin Harris really got on track. Speaking specifically of Harris, Pops, I mean, just it seems to me he's running hard, but maybe he's just a step too slow from what we saw last year. Do you think that's part of that back surgery recovery that he had?
Yeah, I mean, he looks good. He looks physical. I don't necessarily think it was a problem with the back surgery. I think it was more of a problem with the scheme. Here's a guy that's used to kind of picking immediately whether he wants to run through run between the tackles or bounce to the outside. And he was kind of having that dictated for him based on how the offensive line was playing. So he was kind of running right into a brick wall, and that's not his running style. Like I said, he likes to see things in front of him and then kind of pick and choose where he's going.
And then, of course, Tim, the big story was Jason Brown, third string quarterback coming into the year. He was elevated to backup for the first couple of games until Luke Doty got up, and then he was back down to third string. To his credit, he kept staying in there in practice, working hard, doing what he needed to do. Then he got to go out there. What were you expecting to see from Jason? And then what did you see from Jason against Florida?
Right. Well, I was expecting and hoping that we'd see his mobility affect the game. It looks for Jason that the game slowed down for him a heck of a lot since the beginning of the season. And by, in those terms, in football terms, slowing down just means he's seeing a lot more things on the field. He's able to go through his progressions. The offensive line blocked a heck of a lot better than it's been blocking all season. So it allowed him to go through those progressions. And when he was not able to, he was able to escape the pocket, use the mobility that our quarterbacks have not been able to do all season. And that added to it and added a different threat.
That's one thing, Pops, just looking at it, you heard about Jason. He really hadn't played that much, but talking with Marcus Satterfield and other offensive coaches about him, they said, our strategy with him is just let him go. Get him out on the field, let him do what he does. Obviously, a good running game helps him, but if you just kind of let him settle in, he's going to do something that is going to help the team win. And that's what I saw. It's not like they called a lot of designed run plays for him, but they would let him scramble if he needed to extend plays, none bigger than that touchdown throw to Josh Vann. Now, Pops, I know you've seen some busted coverages in your time, but have you ever seen a guy running that open and catch a touchdown off of it?
No, I would have loved to be running that open all the time. That was something else. And to Brown's credit, also, he threw the ball away when he was supposed to throw the ball away. Didn't force passes. Now, this guy's known kind of like at St. Francis as a gunslinger type, but you don't want to be a gunslinger type, for instance, like a Jameis Winston, where he's forcing balls into tight windows and stuff. He did a good job protecting the ball on Saturday, and we're going to need that going forward.
Oh, absolutely. And that brings us perfectly up to next week or this coming week. Missouri, a team that, had a little bit of enthusiasm coming into the season because they went 5-5 last year, had some good things happen. This year, it has not really been the case. Right now, let's start it off with their defense. USC fans and attendees right now, Missouri has the next to last worst rushing defense in the country. So it seems to be simple. USC should just line up and run the ball. But we all know it's probably never going to be that simple. And as Shane Beamer said, they held Georgia pretty much down on the running game for the whole first half. Tim, what have you seen from Missouri's defense rushing and overall?
Yeah, kind of the same thing. And we're going to have to kind of mix it up against them. They've seen the tape, but they're going to try loading the box, taking away our running game. Because number one, their strength is not against the run, so they're going to have to bring extra guys down in the box. And two, they don't want to get us on track with our running game because they know they've seen it. It kind of opens up the whole thing for South Carolina. So I expect them to try to take that away. I don't expect South Carolina to do a Florida and pass for the first 15 plays of the game. I expect them to try keeping Missouri honest, to kind of pound them with the run. And if we get it going, it might be a long day for that Missouri defense.
That's the main thing, Tim. I mean, you have some success one week, and you did it because of running the ball and letting your quarterback just do what he does. So the tendency may be, well, I think you should just do that again, but we all know it's never that simple from a play calling standpoint. So I think with Marcus Satterfield, the challenge facing him is like, hey, don't try to get too cute. Just be basic, just do what works. And I think that after a game where he had some success, he knows that. So to you, Pops, do you think it's really up to that offensive play calling capability and saying, listen, don't stray too far out of the box. Just do what you're good at, and that should be enough to beat these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. He'll have to come up with a few new wrinkles, some approach that they might not they might have saw some tendencies in South Carolina. Get away from those tendencies for a little bit, but kind of stay true to what you are. You know what now has been successful for you. Stay with it, and like I said, kind of pound forward and kind of dictate. Let us dictate what the game's going to be instead of Missouri doing it.
For USC defensively, Pops, they're kind of facing the same thing in Missouri that Missouri has seen from South Carolina. The Tigers are pretty much deciding between their two backup quarterbacks because Connor Bazelak is, at least questionable, may not play this game because he didn't play last week. So it's always tough to prepare for two quarterbacks. But what do you think USC's defense has to do to shut down Missouri, no matter who trots out there under center?
Well, definitely get pressure. And I think South Carolina's been good at that all year. Every game, they seem to be able to the pressure's getting a little more intense on teams as the season goes along because we're starting to find who's actually fitting on on this offense. It's the term in basketball is shortening. You want to shorten the rotation. South Carolina's kind of done that defensively. They kind of know who's going to be able to do what for South Carolina defensively. So now they're getting those guys in position to be successful. And I think we're going to continue to bring pressure now. It definitely helps our back end because, we've had some problems in the defensive secondary with some long balls and stuff like that. We need to keep things in front of us. And that starts with bringing pressure and not allowing a quarterback a lot of time and to go through his progressions.
Yeah, and one thing about that, Pops, they've been getting pressure pretty good, but of course, a lot of times the way the game is these days, quarterbacks are getting the ball out really quickly, and it kind of negates that pressure. However, with Missouri, they like to run the ball. They're pretty explosive in the run game, but it's one of those where they'll hit a lot of big plays per game, but they're not so good down to down. So of course, it sounds simple. Hey, you got to stop the explosive plays. How easy is it to do that, to try to take away a team's explosive plays?
Well, you have to keep gap integrity on defense, and we've gotten better with that as the year goes along. Beginning of the year, we were getting hit up pretty good in the run game because we weren't keeping gap integrity, and running backs were getting to the second level. So now we're getting hands on guys as they're coming through the hole. We have guys filling holes, being where they're supposed to be, and that slows down the run. You keeping stuff in front of you, and Jalen Foster, guys like that, are making good plays coming down in the box and helping out early. So keep that up. And, I think, Missouri's not going to be great in the passing game. So you want to kind of shut down their running game just like they're looking to do to us.
USC, Missouri, Pops. It's always been kind of a weird series. Just think of everything we've seen in this. South Carolina has a 13-point lead with 7 minutes to go in the fourth. Blows the game. Missouri's up 17-0 at the end of 3 when they're number 5 in the country. Connor Shaw comes off the bench and wins that game. Michael Scarnecchia takes over and wins a game in a monsoon. It's a strange series. It's been a lot of weird games out at Missouri. Obviously, you didn't get a chance to play there, Pops, but what have you seen from USC approaching this game in Columbia to some things they got to watch out for on that field?
Right. Well, I played against Missouri my last year in the Independence Bowl, and we were up big. And they came back and won that game at the end of the game. So I know the kind of problems we've had with Missouri in the past. Columbia, Missouri is a kind of a weird, strange place to play. And it's just one of those, like in boxing, matchups, styles make the matchup. And this is one of those where South Carolina and Missouri at times could kind of mirror each other. And, we're just going to have to play a better game Saturday than they do. Like I said, we have to impose our will on them. And Columbia, Missouri is not an easy place to play. But I think we have some momentum going on our side, and
Right.
we can carry that in. We know everything's in front of us right now. We can get bowl eligible with a win in Missouri. And I think, guys kind of know that, and they're going to have an ultimate effort on Saturday.
That's where it's come in. Pops, I'm not trying to be David Downer here or anything like that, but this is South Carolina football. We've seen some opportunities like this to where you think everything's fixed and you're going into a game that you should win. And then the bottom falls out. The one I always think about is the loss at Kentucky in 2010, a week after beating number 1 Alabama. So what's the biggest thing about getting over that mental hurdle of saying, hey, maybe they've been here before, and it's not happened for whatever reason? What do the Gamecocks got to do to say you just can't even think about that, go out, play your game?
Right. Well, first of all, this is a whole new regime. So a lot of these players, they have no idea kind of the past history. If it's not 2-3 years ago, they don't remember it. So I think it's all about the culture that's going on within the South Carolina locker room right now. They have a chance to, set a new tone, to go in there and, forget the past and say, this is South Carolina football, set the new tone. And I think that's what they do. I really think that Coach Beamer, has these guys kind of, playing, not, I wouldn't say up to their potential yet because we're not there, but they're playing with effort. You see that they don't quit on games. And if you can keep that up, you can have success. And I think South Carolina can do that on Saturday.
That's one thing that I'm glad you brought it up too. None of these guys were around of the returning players for this team, what they've pretty much known as disappointment. They've only won 6 games before in the first 2 or the 2 seasons before this one. So they're not thinking about any of that. And I thought Nick Muse answered it perfectly the other day when someone asked him, Nick, do you think about winning 6 and getting bowl eligible? And he said, no, I think about winning all 3 of these and being 8-4. So that is still very much on the table. It's strange how much one win can really change the direction of a season, but that's where South Carolina is right now. So they can, they're favored in this game, I think, and they can go. What would a bowl game in Shane Beamer's first season, especially with what he came into, how much would that be? How much would that mean?
Oh, that would be, I mean, that would be great. Number one, obviously, everybody always says for the bowl practices because, you know, you get those extra practices in, but just for the program as a first-year coach coming in, of course, a lot of doubt early or a lot of questions started popping up early, you know, and I think he's weathered that storm. And now he has us in position to do what we thought, you know, could be possible this season from him. That would be big for this first year for Beamer, and I think we can do it.
Absolutely. And now to get to my favorite part of the program, Pops, just talking about your career at South Carolina. For the audience who doesn't know, go ahead and fill them in about how you got to South Carolina and how you became part of the football team.
Right. Well, you know, obviously I was an Army veteran, served 20 years in the military. It was weird because my first assignment was actually here at South Carolina from 84 to 88. So some great years for South Carolina. So I grew up a Penn State fan, but, you know, I came down here and, you know, saw this team doing well, kind of adopted them as my team. And, you know, I did my first 4 years here, 16 years later after that, you know, I'm coming back to school and, you know, it came down between Penn State and South Carolina, and Coach Holtz was here. Offered both Coach Paterno and Holtz offered me opportunities to come on, try out as a walk-on. This fit perfectly because I was here. I was here at South Carolina. Like I said, a program that I liked, and was able to make that team. And you know, the rest is kind of history from there. But you know, that was my path to South Carolina.
And how old were you, Pops, when you first joined the team?
I was 39 when I joined the team. Obviously, I was close to 41 when it was all over. But like I said, some of the best years of my life, wouldn't do it any differently. People ask, would I do it differently? No, I mean, I think everything played out how it was supposed to.
And who actually gave you the nickname Pops? Was it a group of players or just one?
Well, it was actually Coach Stockstill, who's the coach at Middle Tennessee State now. He came up with the name, but Troy Williamson's the one that made it stick because, you know, the comment was, you know, we were sitting in the receivers room. Coach Stockstill didn't know how old I was. The team didn't know how old I was until after I had made the team. Spring practice was basically over. We were in summer conditioning. And Troy Williamson says, yeah, you know, Frisby, he's 39 years old. And Coach Stockstill was like, man, he's as old as my pops. And Troy was like, that's what we're going to call you. And I was like, no. I said, how about old school, something like that? He was like, no, it's going to be Pops. So that's kind of, Stockstill came up with it, but Troy Williamson kind of made it stick.
Of course, Tim, the story gets known, you know, it's getting out there, and all of a sudden Jay Leno's calling and David Letterman's calling. I mean, how unbelievable was that for you to have had this run and be like, wait a minute, I'm going to be on national TV talking to these guys and not playing football? Just what were those experiences like?
Oh, it was awesome. But more importantly, it was great for South Carolina football, for the team, because everywhere I went, I was able to represent South Carolina. So to put South Carolina on that national stage, along with me, along with my teammates, I tried to involve the teammates in everything I did. Because like you said, you know, Leno, Letterman, Today Show was here in Columbia for a week. They did a piece. So ESPN, Tom Rinaldi did one, you know, so it was, you know, involving them in everything and them being able to share that journey, and then the school being able to, you know, capitalize and have a national footprint from it. I mean, it was just awesome. Worked out for everybody.
Yeah. Now, Pops, if I recall, the rights to your story got sold as a movie, right? Or a movie script. Did anything ever come of that?
It did. And, you know, it's funny because it does come up every once in a while. It was sold, the rights to Warner Brothers, I believe.
Okay.
Obviously, it was on a short term. That way, we could get the rights back if nothing was done immediately. And in Hollywood, this is how these things go.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's 20 years, 25 years down the line before something gets done. So it comes up every once in a while. I'll get a call and somebody will start talking about it. So hopefully one of these days we'll see South Carolina on the big screen.
That would be pretty neat. And obviously, it kind of fits into the way this season is going with Zeb Nolan kind of starting and now Jason Brown being the third stringer and got a chance to really take these guys forward. I don't know if you've seen Jason Brown's impression of their water boy. It's on some social media. Have you seen that one yet?
Yeah, I absolutely saw that. That was that's some funny stuff.
He's spot on. I'm just saying, hey, kid, great, but don't quit your day job.
There you go. There you go.
And then, Pops, of course, you're getting on the field. What did it mean to you to not only get on the field that first time and to catch that pass?
Oh, I mean, obviously that's what I was there for. Even from the beginning, from the very beginning, and we talked with coaches. Didn't want to be a hood ornament at all. I came here to play. That's what I wanted to do. So, I played special teams. Played receiver when the time was allowable to do that, and that's what I was here to do: play football, and I enjoyed it. I mean, it was outstanding time.
Absolutely. And as you've gone through, staying in South Carolina, staying around the Columbia area, Tim, how much have you been around the program? Have you talked to them all in the years since? Or are you a guy that kind of comes around a good bit at practice and all that?
Yeah, and it's funny because before COVID started, they had a list of players and coaches and things that were going to come in and talk to the team, and I was one of them. But that stuff got canceled. So hopefully later down the line, that's going to happen. Be able to get in and talk with the team, but obviously keep up with the program. Do our own post game show on the WVOC after the games each Saturday. So obviously stay in touch with the program. Love the program. Love the fans, and like I said, no better place to be.
Yeah, it's been a real interesting run for South Carolina football these past few years, Tim. I mean, obviously things weren't going well. A lot of excitement created when Shane Beamer got hired. And then, the season started out. And while specifically the offense wasn't looking very good, the team was still 4-4. So they hit these last 5 games. They beat Florida, and now they've got 3 left. So, I mean, the road is wide open for them. How or what do they have to do to kind of get in the mental frame of mind to say, okay, this is ours. We can still turn this into a fantastic season?
Well, obviously, take this one game at a time. You can't look forward, and I don't think they will. I think the focus is on Saturday here. You get this one in Missouri, and then it's really, starting with this Florida game, a snowball effect. Mm-hmm. And great things happen when momentum and stuff starts building up. So you get this game against Missouri. You've beaten Auburn last year, so you have a taste in the mouth. A lot of these guys know what it is to beat an Auburn team, and then you catch Clemson here in not such a great year. It kind of harkens back to the days where you throw the records out the window, and it was always a dogfight, regardless of. We actually need to get back to that. That regardless of records, we make this a dogfight, and I think that game's going to be a dogfight here in Columbia. So you get the win Saturday, and you really start this big momentum push.
Yeah, speaking of Clemson, Tim, were you on the team in 2005 when Spurrier went up there and won?
I was, yes.
Yeah, okay. What do you remember about that game? I mean, I obviously remember how the ending was, but what did that mean to you to not only be a part of a huge win on the road, but a win against Clemson on the road?
Well, it's always great to get a win there, but that was kind of the start of everything. 2004, we weren't able to beat them. That was the fight game. 2005 was a game we should have won here in Columbia, 13-9. Had them pinned back. I think it was like 3rd and 15, and Charlie Whitehurst gets 3rd and 15 and an inch, or third, and they get the first down and go on and hold on to that game. That was a 13-9 game, but to get a win up there to kind of start this, start that Spurrier era of dominance over Clemson, that's a big thing. And you have to start somewhere. That everybody stands on the shoulders of somebody else. This could be a team that could start something new for South Carolina as far as that series is concerned.
Yeah, it's kind of a strange thing. They're ending the year with three straight Tigers, Missouri, Auburn, then Clemson, but they got two of them at home. And of course, starting this weekend in Columbia, Missouri. So you look at this Missouri game, we've already discussed the offense and the defense. What's one other, I guess, intangible or just a focus key of the game that the Gamecocks have got to take care of to win this game on Saturday?
Well, we've been plus in turnovers all season. Let's
Right.
keep that up. If we can get a turnover or two, and then not only get them but convert them into points like we've been able to do, let's make this like the Florida game. Let's make the job easy on Saturday instead of it coming down to the wire. Let's get out ahead and keep our foot on the gas uh, and do some things here. So I think that's what I'm looking forward to see that if we can build on the momentum we built against Florida, stay positive in the turnover game, be able to execute our offense, keep stuff in front of us on defense. I think the game can be ours on Saturday.
That's one thing. Clayton White's defense has really played a terrific season, multiple takeaways in almost every game so far. And it's hard enough to get one. But when you're getting multiple takeaways and then you've got 4 defensive touchdowns for the season, that really says something that gets your confidence going. And Tim, you know how hard it is to count on getting a turnover every game, but the Gamecocks sure seem to have done it. I mean, what do you think the secret is to say it's like you're confident, but these things don't just come along every way. Somehow they keep falling into USC hands.
Yeah, well, I think it comes down to they're more confident in what they need to be doing. They're more confident in the scheme on defensively. Last year, they were doing a lot of thinking, and you start thinking too much on defense, you get out of place, you bust coverage and stuff like that. It's a problem. I think these guys know where they're supposed to be. Once in a while, you're going to see a bust coverage that happens, but for the most part, they're confident in their ability to have knowledge of this defense, and I think then you're able to react to things, and to be, to be ahead of the game as far as doing things defensively instead of reacting to what they're doing. And that's why South Carolina has been able to be successful. And also have to mention special teams have been great this year. Can't leave out Parker White, and really, other than that long kickoff return against Texas A&M, special teams have been pretty solid as far as giving us good starting positions and defense taking over.
That's one thing. Shane made an outstanding hire with Pete Limbo taking over those special teams. And obviously, Parker White speaks for himself because he's been here for so long. But the freshman emergence of Juju McDowell on returns and the fact that they're not really giving up a lot outside of that punt return against Texas A&M, it looks like they've got the foundation to build a very solid base. Pops, I'll leave you with this. Just what do you think, of Shane's initial building of that foundation, a good first step to take before he heads into next year? How good do you think it's been so far?
Well, I think the effort's been great. Obviously, as we're closing out this season and we're getting closer to the goals, some of the goals that he had for the program, we're seeing these things come to fruition. So if he can keep that up, like he said in his press conference, ignore the outside noise because there's going to be a lot of that. It's hard for you to ignore that with social media the way it is these days. But hey, just like your players, stay off the social media, ignore the outside noise, do what you need to do on the field. And I think he's laid a great foundation so far. Let's go ahead and now start building on that foundation.
Absolutely. Well, that about wraps it up for David Cloninger and Tim Pops Frisby. Pops, I want to thank you for joining me here today. Gamecocks will kick off at 4 o'clock Eastern time in Columbia, Missouri on Saturday. If you're going, it's going to be 3 o'clock. And also, if you're going, wear something warm. It's going to be pretty chilly. But USC's got a chance to get bowl eligible this weekend, which for a first year, that would be a tremendous accomplishment. I'm David Cloninger from the Post and Courier, a countdown to kickoff and Gamecocks Now. For Tim Pops Frisby, thanks again for joining me, and we'll see you next week.